Yeah. Yeah. Ah. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
My word. Oh, good God.
Yeah.
I need to lie down before I split my face open from yawning.
God be with you. Good luck to you.
I could do with a bite to eat.
Good day to you.
I'd like to learn to read.
You? You don't look like the makings of a priest or clerk. But why not? I've taught all sorts. Bear in mind, it won't be all that easy. You'll need plenty of time and a few groschen for my trouble.
All right. I don't want to waste time. We can get started. The sooner I master it, the better.
Very well. I will require some groschen from you, though, and set aside at least a couple of days so I can put you through your paces, if indeed time is of the essence.
Here are your groschen.
Then we may as well start. Take care now. No. He did break his vow, but better than to dishonor it here. May he follow his heart. Wake up, lad. It's time we were getting on. So, let's see you read a bit. There's a book here on the table. Try to read it.
Will I manage?
You ought to be able to. It's a simple text. Come back once you've worked your way through it.
I've read the book.
Wonderful. So tell me, what have you learned?
That being greedy doesn't pay.
Excellent. You're one of my most talented pupils. You've uncovered the meaning hidden in the letters. Like I told you, books are valuable, and the words that you place in them ought to be no less so.
Does that mean that I can read then?
Yes, you have the foundation. Remember, my boy, the pen is mightier than the sword. To fully learn your way around words will take a lot more reading yet. Now we'll move on to the second lesson, which will be much harder. Many books are written in Latin, the language of erudite and religious men. If you really want to be able to read, there's no getting away from Latin. There's a book on the table with some text. Read it and then come back. You need not understand it, but you should master the letters.
I only just managed the fable about the goose, and now you're asking me to tackle Latin.
You're a clever lad. You'll manage. Take care now.
I read the page.
So tell me, Distrupule.
Nutus
Not bad for a first try, lad. Try reading it again.
Farewell.
I read the page.
So tell me.
Nullus est liber.
Good heavens! Don't tell me you haven't had lessons before. Excellent. Well, there's nothing more I can teach you.
Thank you, Domine. I'm feeling a lot wiser.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lord above, they did a hell of a job on him. Must have been agony. How come no one heard anything? What's this? Looks like someone's hit him very hard on the head. Could they have bludgeoned him to death and then gutted him? That would explain why he didn't scream. Judas. Looks like this is meant to be a warning. But for who? And why? Maybe the gang had a falling out. But a bandit who knows how to write isn't something you see every day. Nothing here.
What would they do that for?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I see you know how to wield a sword, Father. I wouldn't have expected that from a man of the cloth.
With a stick. I practice with a stick. A reminder of my youth and days gone by, and it helps keep me in good form.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
Bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Do you know what Lubosh was...
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of...
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
For heaven's sake, Father, can you really look me in the eye and tell me that, when you know you may be condemning innocent people to death?
I can, because if I broke that vow, the consequences would be much worse than if I didn't. Maybe not immediately, but one day. The mills of God grind slowly.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. but I can't betray the sanctity of the confession. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Take care now.
My respects to you.
Can I sleep here?
Aye, there's room here. For how long?
Just the one night?
No problem, but you pay in advance.
Here you are.
You all like it here. Like sleeping on a cloud, it is.
Where do I go to sleep?
You'll have no trouble finding it. Right inside the door to the building, there's a ladder up to the loft. Your bed's ready there, and a trunk for your belongings.
Is there anything suspicious going on in these parts?
Indeed there is. Just last night, Father Godwin was here, calling fire and brimstone down on old Gertrude, the herb woman. He's not one to make a fuss over some trifle either. And that's not all. Around here, you should hear about what Vashek the groom has been up to at the stables. When the head groom told the lads here, they fell off their seats laughing.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
He did, but I found a witness and the trail led here to Ujitz, so he sent me here to follow it up.
Ah, well, congratulations. It's nice to see someone using their head to find things out instead of torture. We'll have to drink to that. Now the most important thing. What actually happened in Noel? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword. I wouldn't expect that of a man of the cloth.
You know what they say. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
But this is a bit more mysterious than others.
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to places where affairs were settled by force. These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to keep me in shape.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
Ale as usual.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubosh told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujitz is in Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. The tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the Church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
One beer for me.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up, and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padł desej smutek, do dnielo i rano utek, niech ich może zimaj sad, do wczera żylne staje krat. Už sej mojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě jich muži, nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Buďme se vámi a dodára stávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zejtra jen tu soudnej den, tak nalej mi hned a točí se svět.
Enough of this! Bailiff!
Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can ride is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh, come on. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
What's the matter?
Don't wait it to me, Henry.
Yeah!
So, my dear, would you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry. Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, stiff on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh, shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
So all at once the confessional seal isn't so sacred?
Don't mock me. I won't give you a second chance.
Well, all right. But I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubosh.
Christ almighty. Fine then. We have a deal.
Wonderful. Let's get to it then. Come on, Henry. Don't tell me you changed... Come on, Henry. Don't tell me you changed your mind. All right, then. Suit yourself.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hac facite in meam commemorationem.
No, I didn't know she did that.
She only started not long ago.
You'll get what you deserve. Just you wait. The righteous will rise even though they fall 7 times. I will. I wish my head would stop spinning.
You're right there. Anyway,
I feel quite hungry.
I see you know how to... I wouldn't have expected that.
With a stick. I practice with a stick. Reminder of my youth and days gone by.
The blessing. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems, sir...
Did you know Lubosh?
A bit of a lost soul.
Do you know what Lubosh was?
Unfortunately...
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that...
Vows more important than...
There are laws of God.
Do you know what
Unfortunately...
What?
I'm bound by...
Vows more...
There are laws...
Father, surely you can't be serious.
There are things that apply...
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him. But if you don't tell me, more innocent people...
If I told you... If people believe...
Worse than the death of innocent Christians.
No one escaped.
Father, Lubosh, if I don't find out...
I wouldn't. Suppose we eat.
All right.
Farewell.
God be with you. Farewell. Good luck to you.
Can I sleep here?
I suppose. For how long?
Just the one night.
Sure.
Here you go.
You'll like it here. God be with you.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
I'm sorry, but first
I'm from Scout.
Oh.
They're dead.
Well, I'm sorry. It must have been terrible.
It was. God knows. I didn't make it. They almost killed.
My poor child. And how did you come to...
He did.
Ah. Now...
The rumours, the Neuhoff stud farm was... I'm sure they would have...
I see it's every bit as bad. Well then.
I've told you all about... I noticed your...
You know what they...
But this is...
Let's just say, these days...
Well, we've had... So...
And if...
I understand.
Chin up, left.
What?
If I tell you...
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the...
Well, Ujits isn't Prague.
Our priest wasn't exactly a...
It has to be some... A tongue... Well...
What?
The preaching, the lament, just like a... They know no mercy. You want to baptize a child? What if... With such... While Jesus... Look on...
Well...
Oh, the congregational...
I don't doubt...
Let's drink to...
Funny. That last bit remind...
What do you mean? I'm one...
Thanks for this... it's getting quite late.
What do you suppose? We have...
Ah.
I knew you wouldn't let me...
Chop you to pieces.
Yeah, you call that combat?
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure.
Right, Henry. Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon. Godwin, you old goat.
Come here.
Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast. Get up. Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards.
Oh, fucking hell.
Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh, shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
No.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do?
I'll go and start the... No need to drag it out.
Christ almighty.
Wonderful. Let's... Come on, then. What's the holdup? We've no time to waste.
I thought he'd never show up. The swill.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait.
Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
Yes, I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hac facite in meam commemorationem.
Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
That boy has a cheek.
Creation has given to every man the power by which he might rule the whole world. But that power does not give him the right to rule. That right belongs to God alone. It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, enemies, injustice, hunger and chaos, failed harvests, and it is all due to, they think sins can be washed away by money, and they sell indulgences, and that's bad, because sins cannot be redeemed with silver.
Prague didn't do much for his confidence.
And what sins? They live with harlots and keep concubines, even though only marital intercourse for the purpose of procreation is pure. If someone takes a woman or man only to satisfy their own lust, who seduces them to do so but Satan? And how much darker the sin if that man is a servant of the church? Who can turn his face to God, who fornicates and then puts on priestly robes?
Nothing we don't know about already.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates! Away with them!
We're fortunate to have our good Father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Aye, all honour to Godwin. Let him drink like one of us.
That is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that was.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a
I'm
silver
glad
tongue.
he came here. I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague, and he told it nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So's gluttony. And fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Lubos tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now, slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you?
Well, now Lubos came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubos kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubos killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko. Pius, Timmy.
Pius. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.
I'll have to get something to eat. I'm starting to get hungry.
Well, you're a sight for sore eyes.
So,
I can't stop thinking about...
I know.
What do you mean?
Do you feel like a walk?
That's not a bad idea. I've got lots to do right now. But I'd love to go another time.
As her ladyship commands?
You jester.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Is someone there? God be with you.
I'm looking for a fellow called Riki. Have you ever heard of him?
Sure. Why wouldn't I? That's what they call my son, Hinek.
Ah. You wouldn't happen to know where he is, would you?
I don't know nothing.
Don't you at least know where he usually goes? It's important.
Hinek shows up at home once in a blue moon, so I don't know nothing about where he gets to. Even if I did, why would I tell every Tom, Dick and Harry?
Watch your tongue, peasant. I'm an envoy of Sir Radzig Kobyla, and this is an official investigation. Stop trying to put me off, and tell me where your son is right now.
I apologize if I offended you, young man. But still, I don't know where Hinek is. He turned up at the house a while back, but then he vanished again in a hurry.
And you don't know where he went? What?
Look, it's been clear to me for a long time that my boy was headed for the gallows. But I'm still his father, right? And you can't expect me to rat on my own son.
If you value your son's life at all, you better pray I find him, because I'm not the only one looking for him.
That's no surprise. But what of it? If you're here on behalf of Sir Radzig, there's nothing waiting for Hinnick but the gibbet.
It doesn't have to be that way. If Hinnick cooperates, he can save his neck.
I can't say you put my mind at ease. But to hell with it. I'll tell you what I know. All right. He was here a few days ago, but he left right away. He looked like he was in a hurry.
And you don't know where he went?
I've got an idea, but I don't know where it is exactly.
I don't follow.
Hinnick makes some money on the side from poaching. He boasted to me a few times about what a great hideout he found in the woods, but he never told me where it is.
Well, it's not much to go on, but it's better than nothing. Thank you.
Go, and if he's really in as much shit as you say, please try and find him.
Don't you have any clue at all where his hideout?
I really don't know nothing about that. I could tell when...
How's that?
Because every time he brought some hides for tanning and money.
He had money because he sold the stuff right...
I suppose. He never kept any of his loot here.
Do you know who he sold it to?
No. But the innkeeper came here now and again and gave him coin. Of course, it could have been for me.
All right. I'll ask at the inn then. What more do you know?
Nothing. I swear to God Almighty, I've said all
I know he didn't talk to you about it, but you must have noticed something, right? How much time did he spend away? What was he wearing? How did he look when he came back? Anything?
Well, he came and went at all sorts of hours. I really don't know. Except maybe one thing. He'd come home scratched with brambles and with leaves and muck on him.
So he probably went through thick woods to get to that place.
I reckon. What do I know?
He had money because he sold the stuff.
I suppose. He never kept any of his loot here.
Do you...
No.
All right.
Go. And if he's really in as much shit as you say, please try and find him. What are you doing here?
there! Are you going to hang around here gaping like a stuffed
I'm looking for a fellow they
squirrel all
call
day and
Reek.
night? If you can't
Ah.
pay for a bath,
Ah,
clear
I
off.
see.
Aye, but I...
No, I don't...
So what about you
What
then?
are you gaping at?
You look a bit
Have you paid?
careworn.
No?
A bath
Then
with a
get
bit of
lost.
company might do.
Maybe later.
What are you
Ask
staring
away
at?
then.
The baths are for paying guests, not idlers with nothing better to do.
When did you last...
A few days ago, he came to...
What
that
are
was
you
unusual?
gaping at?
I never
Have you
saw him
paid?
drink much.
No? Then get
He always
lost.
came to me.
So he was acting strangely that evening?
He was strange.
Hey, you there! Are you going to hang around here gaping like a stuffed squirrel all day
Can
and
you
night?
remember anything?
If you can't
Oh,
pay for a bath, clear
aye.
off.
And then he was...
What are you gaping at? Have you paid?
What did he say about
No?
them?
Just that
Then
he had a
get
pile of it
lost.
hidden behind his house.
I see.
What could I say? And if I want...
Did you go there for...
No. I've got better things to do.
Yes, I understand. Did he tell you exactly where...
He said he buried it at his...
All right, thank you. Is it true?
Hey,
What?
you there!
Other
Are
whores
you
wouldn't
going
go
to
with
hang
him
around
even
here
for money.
gaping like a stuffed
The other
squirrel
bathhouse
all day
girls
and
are
night?
honest,
If
so I
you
don't
can't
know.
pay for a bath,
The
clear
truth
off.
is, I felt a bit sorry for him. Folk don't like...
What are you staring at? The baths are for
So you
paying
only
guests,
felt...
not
Both of us are the
idlers with
black
nothing
sheep.
better
There's
to
nothing
do.
more between you.
No.
I found out that...
What are you
Don't worry.
staring at?
Hinek
The
has
baths
much
are for
bigger
paying
problems than
guests,
being caught
not
poaching.
idlers with nothing better
And you're
to
not
do.
involved in it any...
No, I'm not. It's true he used to go hunting in the woods sometimes.
What are you
When he
gaping
came
at?
back,
Have
he'd
you
usually
paid?
come to me.
No?
That's...
Then get lost.
How did you know...
He always talked about what he caught, and he never came to me at other times. Probably didn't have the money for it.
Do you know who he sold it?
He never told me straight up. But who could he sell it to?
For sure. Do you know what route...
I think he usually went through the woodcutter's camp, 'cause he always...
Good. So at least I know...
What are you gaping at? Have you paid? No? Then
May the
get
Lord
lost.
watch over you.
Yeah!
Jesus Christ be...
Is something troubling you?
I wouldn't say it's troubling me exactly, my boy, but I've heard talk about the Sasso blacksmith and I'm losing...
What talk might that be?
They say they've heard him chanting when he tempers steel, and that nothing of his ever breaks.
Well, if it's trouble...
Easy for you to say. I have too much work to do.
And...
Simple enough. Go there and find out if there's any grain of truth in it.
I suppose asking costs...
Just don't ask him outright about any sort.
Don't worry, I'm not that daft.
Good, good. And don't worry.
All right.
Good. But be subtle about it. Good luck to you.
be with you.
Go. And if he's really in as much shit as you say, please try and find him. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Hey, who's there?
Yeah.
God be with you, good sir.
Have you got a bed for the night?
Aye, there's room here. For how long?
Just the one night?
Sure, but let's see your coin first.
Here you are.
You'll like it here. Like sleeping on a cloud it is.
Where do I go to sleep?
That's easy. As soon as you go indoors, at the end of the room on the left, there's a door leading to the chamber. Everything's prepared for you.
I want to ask about...
Then ask someone else. They've nothing to do with it. It only drive my customers away.
Really? I heard a different story. I heard that...
Who are you, anyway?
A friend of Hinek's. He's gone missing and I need...
I don't know where he is. But if you find the bastard, tell him he still owes me some goods.
I don't give a damn what deals you...
What have our deals got to do?
More than you think.
I don't like...
I want to ask about
Jesus.
About the good.
What about it?
Well, supposing I... How much is it?
Before he vanished, I paid him in advance for 5...
We can settle things right away.
Let's see it then. Have you got it or not? May the Lord watch over you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I never. The pig turns up. Alle topperdelle. Bugger.
Hey, all of you! Gather here! Get off!
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What have we got here? Great.
Alarm! Over here! Where is everyone? Quick! Alarm!
I could do with a bite to eat.
Hey, all of you, gather here! Raise the alarm! Raise the alarm! Watch out!
Gone weak at the knees.
Turns up willingly for the
You're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Hey, all of you, gather here! Over here! Where is everyone? Quick!
Bring it on! Get over! Hey! All of you, gather here! Raise the alarm!
Look what's come crawling out amongst us.
You call that combat?
Over here! Where is everyone? Quick! Hey! All of you, gather here! Raise the alarm!
Gone weak at the knees, have you?
Oh. You'll get one for.